Let's talk about something that's both fascinating and a little unsettling: how human nature can be molded, almost like water taking the shape of whatever container it's poured into. This idea is at the heart of dark psychology, where persuasion and seduction become tools to influence how people think, feel, and act. It's not just about manipulation, it's about understanding the subtle ways our minds can be shaped, sometimes without us even realizing it. Think of it as a deep dive into the shadows of human behavior, where the lines between influence and control can get pretty blurry. Dark psychology is the study of the human condition in relation to the psychological nature of people to prey upon others. It is a field that delves into the darker aspects of human behavior, exploring how individuals can manipulate, control, and influence others for personal gain. The art of manipulation is a central theme in dark psychology, and it has been practiced throughout history in various forms. This video will explore the concept of dark psychology, focusing on the art of manipulation, its real-world applications, historical examples, psychological experiments, and practical self-defense strategies. Manipulation is a form of social influence that aims to change the behavior or perception of others through indirect, deceptive, or underhanded tactics. It is a subtle art that often goes unnoticed by the victim, who may be unaware that they are being influenced. Manipulation can take many forms, from subtle persuasion to outright coercion, and it is often used to gain power, control, or advantage over others. Manipulation relies on several psychological mechanisms, including emotional manipulation. This involves playing on the emotions of others to gain control. For example, a manipulator may use guilt, fear, or love to influence someone's behavior. Emotional manipulation can be particularly effective because it taps into the victim's deepest feelings and vulnerabilities. Cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort experienced by a person who holds two or more contradictory beliefs, values, or ideas. Manipulators can exploit cognitive dissonance by creating situations where the victim feels compelled to resolve the discomfort by changing their beliefs or behaviors. Gaslighting. This is a form of psychological manipulation where the manipulator seeks to make the victim doubt their own perceptions, memories, or sanity. Gaslighting can be incredibly damaging, as it undermines the victim's sense of reality and self-worth. Social proof. This is the tendency to look to others for guidance on how to behave, especially in ambiguous situations. Manipulators can use social proof to influence others by creating the illusion that a particular behavior or belief is widely accepted or endorsed by others. Authority. People are more likely to comply with requests or commands from someone they perceive as an authority figure. Manipulators can exploit this by presenting themselves as experts or figures of authority, even if they are not. Throughout history, manipulation has been used by leaders, politicians, and other influential figures to achieve their goals. Some notable examples include Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime are perhaps one of the most infamous examples of manipulation in history. Hitler used propaganda to manipulate the German population, creating a sense of unity and purpose around the Nazi ideology. He exploited people's fears and prejudices, using emotional manipulation to turn them against Jews, communists, and other perceived enemies. The Nazis also used cognitive dissonance to justify their actions, presenting themselves as the saviors of Germany while committing horrific atrocities. Joseph Stalin, the leader of the Soviet Union, used manipulation to maintain his grip on power. He created a cult of personality around himself, presenting himself as a benevolent and infallible leader. Stalin used propaganda, censorship, and fear to control the population, eliminating anyone who posed a threat to his authority. He also used gaslighting to rewrite history, erasing the contributions of his rivals and presenting himself as the sole architect of the Soviet Union's success. Jim Jones was the leader of the People's Temple, a religious cult that ended in a mass suicide in 1978. Jones used manipulation to control his followers, creating a sense of dependency and loyalty. He used emotional manipulation to exploit their fears and insecurities, convincing them that the outside world was hostile and that he was their only protector. Jones also used cognitive dissonance to justify his increasingly erratic and abusive behavior, presenting himself as a martyr who was sacrificing himself for the greater good. Several psychological experiments have explored the nature of manipulation and how it can be used to influence behavior. Some of the most famous experiments include the Milgram experiment, conducted by Stanley Milgram in the 1960s, explored the extent to which people would obey authority figures, even when it involved harming others. Participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to a learner, who was actually an actor, whenever they answered a question incorrectly. Despite the learner's apparent pain and distress, many participants continued to administer shocks when instructed to do so by the experimenter. The experiment demonstrated the power of authority and how it can be used to manipulate people into committing acts they would otherwise find abhorrent. The Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted by Philip Zimbardo in 1971, explored the effects of perceived power and authority on behavior. Participants were randomly assigned to play the roles of prisoners or guards in a simulated prison environment. The guards quickly began to abuse their power, using psychological manipulation to control and humiliate the prisoners. The experiment had to be terminated early due to the extreme behavior of the participants, highlighting how easily people can be manipulated into adopting abusive roles when given authority. The Ask conformity experiments, conducted by Solomon Ask in the 1950s, explored the extent to which people would conform to group pressure, even when it contradicted their own perceptions. Participants were asked to judge the length of lines, with the majority of the group giving incorrect answers. Many participants conformed to the group's incorrect judgments, even when they knew they were wrong. The experiments demonstrated the power of social proof and how it can be used to manipulate people into conforming to group norms. Manipulation is not just a theoretical concept, it has real-world applications in various fields, including politics, business, and personal relationships. Some examples include, politicians often use manipulation to gain support and influence public opinion. This can involve using emotional manipulation to appeal to voters' fears and desires, or using cognitive dissonance to justify controversial policies. For example, a politician might use fearmongering to convince voters that a particular group poses a threat, thereby justifying harsh measures against that group. Marketers and advertisers use manipulation to influence consumer behavior. This can involve using social proof to create the illusion that a product is popular or endorsed by celebrities, or using emotional manipulation to create a sense of urgency or desire. For example, an advertisement might use images of happy, attractive people to create an emotional connection with the product, making consumers more likely to buy it. Manipulation is also common in personal relationships, where it can be used to control or influence a partner's behavior. This can involve using emotional manipulation to create a sense of dependency or using gaslighting to undermine the partner's confidence and self-esteem. For example, a manipulative partner might use guilt to control their partner's actions, or use gaslighting to make them doubt their own perceptions and memories. Seduction is a form of manipulation that involves using charm, flattery, and other tactics to influence someone's behavior or emotions. While seduction is often associated with romantic relationships, it can also be used in other contexts, such as business or politics. Some techniques used in seduction include 1. Mirroring. Mirroring involves subtly mimicking the behavior, speech, and body language of the person you are trying to seduce. This creates a sense of rapport and connection, making the person feel more comfortable and open to your influence. For example, if the person you are trying to seduce leans forward, you might also lean forward, creating a sense of alignment and harmony. 2. Flattery. Flattery involves giving compliments and praise to the person you are trying to seduce. This can boost their self-esteem and make them more receptive to your advances. However, flattery should be used sparingly and genuinely, as excessive or insincere flattery can come across as manipulative and insincere. 3. Creating mystery. Creating a sense of mystery and intrigue can make you more attractive and desirable to the person you are trying to seduce. This can involve revealing just enough information about yourself to pique their interest, while keeping some aspects of your life or personality hidden. For example, you might share an interesting story about your past, but leave out certain details to create a sense of curiosity. 4. Using scarcity. Scarcity is a powerful psychological principle that can be used to create a sense of urgency and desire. By creating the illusion that your time, attention, or affection is limited, you can make the person you are trying to seduce more eager to pursue you. For example, you might mention that you have a busy schedule and limited availability, making the person feel lucky to have your attention. Seduction is a form of manipulation that involves using charm, flattery, and other tactics to influence someone's behavior or emotions. While seduction is often associated with romantic relationships, it can also be used in other contexts, such as business or politics. Some techniques used in seduction include 1. Mirroring. Mirroring involves subtly mimicking the behavior, speech, and body language of the person you are trying to seduce. This creates a sense of rapport and connection, making the person feel more comfortable and open to your influence. For example, if the person you are trying to seduce leans forward, you might also lean forward, creating a sense of alignment and harmony. 2. Flattery. Flattery involves giving compliments and praise to the person you are trying to seduce. This can boost their self-esteem and make them more receptive to your advances. However, flattery should be used sparingly and genuinely, as excessive or insincere flattery can come across as manipulative and insincere. 3. Creating mystery. Creating a sense of mystery and intrigue can make you more attractive and desirable to the person you are trying to seduce. This can involve revealing just enough information about yourself to pique their interest, while keeping some aspects of your life or personality hidden. For example, you might share an interesting story about your past, but leave out certain details to create a sense of curiosity. 4. Using scarcity. Scarcity is a powerful psychological principle that can be used to create a sense of urgency and desire. By creating the illusion that your time, attention, or affection is limited, you can make the person you are trying to seduce more eager to pursue you. For example, you might mention that you have a busy schedule and limited availability, making the person feel lucky to have your attention. Practical self-defense strategies against manipulation. While manipulation can be a powerful tool, it is also possible to defend against it. Some practical self-defense strategies include 1. Awareness and education. The first step in defending against manipulation is to be aware of the tactics that manipulators use. By educating yourself about the psychological mechanisms of manipulation, you can recognize when someone is trying to influence you and take steps to protect yourself. This might involve reading books or articles on the subject, or attending workshops or seminars on manipulation and persuasion. 2. Critical thinking. Critical thinking involves questioning the information and arguments presented to you, rather than accepting them at face value. By developing your critical thinking skills, you can evaluate the validity of the claims made by manipulators and resist their influence. This might involve asking questions, seeking evidence, and considering alternative perspectives. 3. Setting boundaries. Setting clear boundaries is an important defense against manipulation. By establishing what you are and are not willing to accept, you can prevent manipulators from crossing the line and taking advantage of you. This might involve saying no to unreasonable requests or walking away from situations where you feel uncomfortable or pressured. 4. Seeking support. Manipulators often isolate their victims, making them feel alone and vulnerable. By seeking support from friends, family, or professionals, you can counteract this isolation and gain the strength and perspective needed to resist manipulation. This might involve talking to a trusted friend about your concerns, or seeking the help of a therapist or counselor. 5. Practicing self-care. Manipulators often exploit their victims' insecurities and vulnerabilities. By practicing self-care and building your self-esteem, you can reduce your susceptibility to manipulation. This might involve engaging in activities that make you feel good about yourself, such as exercise, hobbies, or spending time with loved ones. Dark psychology and the art of manipulation are complex and multifaceted topics that have been explored throughout history and in various fields. Manipulation can take many forms, from emotional manipulation and cognitive dissonance to gaslighting and social proof. It has been used by leaders, politicians, and other influential figures to achieve their goals, and it continues to be a powerful tool in politics, business, and personal relationships. However, it is also possible to defend against manipulation by being aware of the tactics used by manipulators, developing critical thinking skills, setting boundaries, seeking support, and practicing self-care. By understanding the nature of manipulation and how it works, we can protect ourselves from its influence and make more informed decisions in our lives. Ultimately, the art of manipulation is a double-edged sword. While it can be used to achieve great things, it can also be used to harm and exploit others. By studying dark psychology and the art of manipulation, we can gain a deeper understanding of human behavior and learn how to navigate the complex social dynamics that shape our lives.